Hey everybody, this is Mr. Bunn again. Today I'm going to go over the answers to Lesson 9 Exit Ticket. You were asked to make your own paper copy of the exit ticket, draw the diagram that you see here, the sculpture as they call it, on a piece of paper, and then you were asked to find the dimensions and then find the total volume of both individual prisms. You have prism Z and prism Y, and then from there you're going to find the total volume of the entire sculpture, and that would be your answer for C. So the directions were a student design the sculpture using the dimensions on the sculpture, find the dimensions of each rectangular prism, then calculate the volume of each prism. All right, so let's find the dimensions and then the volume for, you can choose whatever one you want to do first. Let's start with prism Z, because honestly, looking at the information we have, it's going to be quite a bit easier to find the dimensions for prism Y. We're actually going to have to do an extra step. So let's start with prism Z. Let's start off with the height. As you can see here, the height, how tall it is of prism Z is 18 inches. So write that down. And the length of prism Z is actually up here, how long it is. Because when we look at width, we're going to look at this dimension right there. So the length is 10 inches, and then the width is also 10 inches. 10, 10. Then from there, volume equals length times width times height. So 18 times 10 times 10. Let's knock out the multiplication problem we know right off the bat. 10 times 10 is 100. So then now we have 18 times 100. So 18 times 1 is 18. Add your two zeros in 100. Your answer for the volume of rectangular prism Z is 1,800 cubic inches. We can write it with a baby 3 right there as well, just to know that that's the volume of rectangular prism Z. Now, finding the dimensions for prism Y is just one simple extra step. You're going to have to use the height, length, and width of prism Z to help you out here. So let's start off with the length. As you can see here, the length of prism Y is less than the length of prism Z's length, and that's 10 inches. So if we look at this piece of information right here, it tells us from this point to this point it's going to be 6 inches. So in order to find the length of prism Y, what you would do is you take the length of prism Z, subtract this gap that you have here at 6 inches, and that will give you your length for prism Y. So it's 10 minus 6 is 4 inches. So for your length, you should have gotten 4 inches. Let's go to the height. As you can see that obviously it's not as tall as prism Z, so you're going to have to take the height of prism Z, which is 18 inches, subtract this gap here, which is 6 inches. 18 minus 6 will get you 12 inches for the height of prism Y. It's like looking at a tape diagram. Okay? So now we have the width left over, and here's our width for prism Z, and Y, you could tell with your eye that it's not as wide, so they give you a piece of information here, which is 16 inches from here. If we drew an imaginary line going this way, it would match up about right there. So take this piece of information, 16, subtract it from your width in prism Z, and that will get you the width for prism Y, 16 minus 10, that you should have gotten 6 inches. Now we need to calculate the volume. So the volume equals length times width times height. And doesn't matter how you rearrange the numbers, you're going to get the same answer no matter what. So 12 times 4 times 6 will get us our volume. Let's do the multiplication problem that we know right off the bat. 4 times 6 is 24. And now it's going to be 12 times 24. I'm going to do that down here where I have some room. So we're going to have to use the snake method. Standard algorithm, 24 times 12. 4 times 2 is 8. 2 times 2 is 4. Now we need to drop the egg. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 2 is 2. Add them up. 8, 8, and 2. Your volume for rectangular prism Y is 288 inches cubed. So we would have 288 cubes inside that prism, each having a length of 1 inch, a width of 1 inch, and a height of 1 inch. Now it's our turn for part C to find the total volume of the sculpture. All you have to do here is add your two volumes, and that will give you your answer. So we have 1,800 for Prism Z, and we have 288 for Prism Y. Add them up. 8, 8, 10, and 2. So we get a total volume for the entire sculpture of 2,088 inches cubed, or you could say 2,088 cubic inches. Hopefully you're raising the roof right now in your living room, in your kitchen, because you got every single one of these parts correct, and congratulations. Give yourself a self high five as well. If you made a small calculation error, that happens. Just make sure we're double checking our work before we arrive at our final answer. That is it for today. Tomorrow I'm going to send out another video. That'll be for your Friday lesson. It'll be lesson 10. And just a reminder, it's going to be in your brand new green workbook. Hopefully you have that in a safe spot. The workbook should say Module 5, Topics C and D. We're going to start finding area of rectangles using fractions. And so we're going to go back into multiplying fractions and mixed numbers. Hopefully that cleared some things up for you. Hopefully you made more sense of finding the dimensions for rectangular prism Y, because rectangular prism Z was a little bit easier to find the dimensions, obviously, with the information given, but hopefully it cleared some things up with finding the dimensions for Y, because it was just that little extra step. All right, everybody, I hope you have a great day, and I will see you in the next math lesson video. See you later.